This tutorial is for Lesson 9 homework question number 8. The first thing is to understand the problem. Suppose you want to save $7,500 to go on a dream vacation in 3 years. You can save for your vacation by either depositing one single lump sum of money into a savings account and letting it accumulate interest, or by making regular monthly payments. Step 2. Identify variables and assumptions. The first thing is to identify which of the following variables would not be useful in understanding the financial situation. So down here we want to know what will affect the financial situation. Some of the key variables: the amount of money you would need to deposit in the savings account as a single deposit would be extremely helpful because that will actually help us calculate. So that one I'm not going to select because I'm looking for things that won't be useful. The next one, the people you hope to take or to meet on your trip, that also is not going to affect us financially, assuming that the people that we're going to take will be paying their own way as well. The next thing is the amount of money you would need to deposit in the savings account each month. Again, very helpful because that will help us calculate how much I can save up each month. So again, that one will help. So I'm not going to select that. The next one, the type of clothes you will bring on the trip. Not helpful in making our financial decision here. And the last one, the interest rate in the savings accounts, also very important in our calculations for finding out all of the totals. So I'm not going to select that one because I'm looking again for things that are not helpful. The next one is identifying which of the following assumptions would not be useful in understanding the financial situation. Again, the financial situation. So we're going to come down here. When you wish upon a star, your dreams come true. Also, this is not going to be helpful in our assumptions when we're working things out. And then the next one, dreams are for fools, also not helpful in our financial calculations. The next one, the interest rate for either account is 1.5% APR. Fantastic. I need to know those numbers in my calculations. And the next one, $7,500 will be enough money for your dream vacation in 3 years. Again, very helpful to know what my ending value is that I'm looking for, what amount of money I need to have for my vacation. And so if that's what we're going to assume, that's a very important key assumption. So we selected everything that would not be useful, and we can move to step number 3. Applying the quantitative tools. So we have a couple of different options here. First, let's read through it, and then we'll talk about the different ways we can calculate. How much money as a one-time deposit or present value would you need to deposit into an account that earns 1.5% compounded monthly to earn a future value, or FV, of $7,500 in 3 years? This amount can be found by using algebra to rearrange the function future value equals present value times the quantity 1 plus r over n raised to ny, so that future value becomes an input variable and present value becomes the output variable. So through a little bit of dividing on both sides and timesing, we end up with the present value equaling future value times 1 plus r over n raised to the negative ny. And using this function, we can find the amount needed as a one-time deposit to earn our $7,500 in 3 years. So because this is what it was asked of us to go through, I'm going to go through the equation, but I'm also going to go through the formula as well using Excel so that we can see both of these being used. And it's great to have a bit of a backup to double check our answer. Plus on the exam, if it tells me to use the equation and I have access to Excel, I would probably use the formula because it will be faster. But don't tell anyone I said that. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is using this present value formula. And because I am going to go the cheap way out, or the fast way, I'm going to actually highlight this and Control C or Command C to copy, or right click and come over here and do Command V or Control V depending on your computer and press paste. Now for the equation here, I'm going to come in and edit things because I want this to calculate for me, and I'm going to take out the present value portion so that I can have it equaling something and run through this future value. Again, Excel does not understand between the number and the parenthesis what to do, so you need to say multiply. This right here, in my copying and pasting, it took out the divide sign, so I need to put it back in. And it also took out the operation here, which is to raise this to the exponent. So Shift 6 will give us the caret to raise negative n and y to the exponent. And between these, I need a multiplication. Okay, what am I missing? R divided by n. Oh, it wants to calculate. So I'm going to take out the equal sign right now just so that I can see the formula. Now I'm actually going to go through the formula. What I've done is I took all of my numbers here that they were given to me and put them here for the lump sum option. The payment option we'll do later. And I'm just going to cell reference and follow along with this formula here. Or I could copy this formula again and just erase things as I go and select and highlight my cells. Since I have it here, I'm just going to go ahead and work through the equation. I'm going to double check and make sure I have future value times. So I told Excel what to do, parenthesis 1 plus r divided by n, close parenthesis, raised to the power, parenthesis, negative n times y, close parenthesis. That looks beautiful, and I always do that to double check just in case something happens. So if I'm doing that to double check, I highly recommend that the students also double check as you're going through and make sure you have all the operations in there. Even just one mistake of leaving out a multiplication, it won't calculate it for you. So what I'm going to do is reference my future value. And here I just typed it all out so that I can reference it. If you would like to type in these numbers, you're more than welcome to. The only problem with that is that sometimes you can have typos and then you press enter and you just assume that it's calculated, and it's calculated it correctly, which is true, but you may have accidentally typed something in wrong. So I like to write it all down and then cell reference so that I can double check my numbers are correct. So maybe I typed a 6 here and I can see that really quickly instead of just typing in my numbers of 7,500. Just a quick tip for those of you who might be more prone to making those typos, which I am, and so it's just another way of double checking. So I'm going to times parenthesis 1 plus cell reference r, divide it by n, which is the number of compounds, that's what it stands for. This was monthly compounds, so I'll select 12, which I typed in, and then close your parenthesis, and then raise this, Shift 6, to, again, parenthesis, negative, and then I'm going to go cell reference n again, which is here, and then times that by y, which was given to us as 3 years, and close the parenthesis. And then I'm going to press enter here, and that will give me my lump sum that I need to put into this account, earning 1.5% APR over the space of 3 years. So if I have $7,000, $7,170 in my pocket, I can go to this bank, put my $7,000 in, and in 3 years I'll have $7,500. So, and this is asking us to round it to the nearest cent. So I'm going to type in $7,170, and rounding this is 18 cents since the 2 will not round the 8 up. Now is another way just to ensure that I did indeed get the correct formula, and I've put everything in correctly. I'm going to do the future value formula, or the present value formula, I apologize, the present value formula to find the present value using the built-in formula. And if we've done it correctly, these two will match, and it's another way just to make sure that I did it correctly, and that's really helpful on on an exam so that you know, okay, I did do the equation or the formula is correct and so forth. So the first thing I'm going to do, sorry, not parenthesis, we're going to type in PV for present value. Open the parenthesis and it will prompt me what needs to go in there. So the rate is my 1.5, and what it isn't telling you is that you must divide this by n. So you need to know how to do that already in advance. And that's one, I guess, downside to the formula is that you must have that memorized. With the equation, it's already done it for you. But I think it's pretty easy to remember. Just divide it by n. In this case, it's 12. And I'm going to close the parenthesis, or give myself a comma to move to the next one, which is n per, which is number of periods. So that tells me I am going to be making 12 payments every year for 3 years. So I'm going to do 12 times 3. If you're okay just doing that in your head, you can just type out 36. However, it's really convenient to have it all here again so that you can double check if you've typed something in wrong. Putting a comma, it now tells me payment. We are not making payment, so I'm going to put a 0 here and then press comma and find the future value, which we know we want to end at 7,500. Now on the previous one with the equation, we did need to close a parenthesis because this was an equation that I was typing in. With the formula here in Excel, there's enough information and Excel knows its own formula. You don't have to close the parenthesis unless you want to. So I'm not going to, and I'm just going to press enter. Because this is a payment or a present value function, if I wanted to say that the future value is something off in the future, it's something that I don't have, or I could put a negative here. Either way will make this a positive number. I can put a negative here or a negative in the future value, and it doesn't matter. Either way, but the numbers are correct and they're the same. So that was a nice double check to make sure that this is indeed correct. The next one says, what monthly payment, or PMT, would you need to deposit into an account that earns 1.5% compounded monthly to earn a future value, or FV, of $7,500 in 3 years? So over here is option number 2, and I've gleaned all the information and put it down so that I can cell reference. And again, it's given us our formula. And I'm just going to do the very fast way, which is copy this and Command or Control C, depending on your computer. Coming over here, Command V or Control V, and it gives me my formula. Now, again, as we did before, I need to make sure that this is all correct. And so this says the future value times, and so I need to tell it to multiply. R over N is in parentheses, but it didn't copy this divide sign, so I'm going to stick that in there. And then R over N is also divided by the entire, all of this down here, the quantity 1 plus R over N to the NY minus 1. So I have a parenthesis that designates this as being the denominator, and I have it closing the parenthesis over here, so this is all in the denominator, and that's good. But in here I can see that, again, this divide sign didn't copy over, and the exponent didn't copy, so I'm going to Shift 6 to get the N and the Y up there, and I need to tell Excel that these need to be multiplied, and I think everything else looks good. So that gives me kind of a way to make sure that I'm typing everything in correctly. Or, as I said before, I can copy this and just, you know what, since I said that we could, I'm going to do it here. I'm going to copy this part, press enter to get out of there, push Control V to copy that in, and then I'm going to select these one by one and just cell reference. So the future value here, I'm going to cell reference here and it'll erase it or replace it. And then I'm going to highlight the R, replace my APR, highlight the N, and replace it with the number of compounds, which is monthly. Over here, again, R here, and then replace the N here, and then here again, replace the N, and multiply by Y or years. Oops, highlight that, replace the years. So we have a couple of different ways that whichever way makes you most comfortable, feel free to use. I'm going to double check. As you've seen, I double check a lot just to make sure that my calculation and what spits out in Excel is actually correct. So I have a multiplication here, that's good. The division here, divide the large numerator, since I have a compound fraction, the numerator divided by this large denominator, and the quantity 1 plus r over n, raised it to the ny, subtract 1. Everything looks good, so I'm going to press enter. Oh, it looks like I am not good, and it told me that I should type 1 plus 1 in cell 2. Where am I? Where the minus sign. Excel thinks it is a formula, which is good. I want it to. So let's go double check this. Minus 1. It says minus 1 is incorrect. So let's try. Oh, I see what happened. So did you see the longer dash here? So it didn't copy this in as a subtract sign. So deleting it, typing it in again gives me the subtract, which was good. Now I can press enter. And I'm glad that you guys got to see that, because even as detailed as we were in being meticulous, that still got us off. All right, so this tells me this is my payment every month to make for earning $7,500 in 3 years. And right here, I'm going to go ahead and show you how to use the formula too, just because on the test, it'll be really helpful to have both options, as many tools in your tool belt as you can. So the formula here, we're looking for the payment. So I'm going to type in PMT, as we've done in some of our homework before. We're going to follow the prompts here, and it tells me I need to put in the rate, and I could type in 1.5 if I wanted to. But as I said before, if I cell reference this, I can then double check that I've typed it in correctly. And maybe if at some point during the problem it changes the APR, I don't have to go in here and change it. I can just change it in this cell. And since I'm referencing that, it'll make it faster and hopefully help me with any sort of typos. Okay, the only thing it doesn't prompt you is that you need to know to divide this by n. So we're going to divide that by n, comma, number of periods. There are 3 years, 12 months every single year, so we're going to times 12, or months times years, press comma. The present value of this, we don't start with anything. This one doesn't have a lump sum anywhere, so we're going to type in 0. And our future value is our 7,500. And again, just as before, I don't have to close this. This is the built-in Excel formula, and I don't need the type. Don't worry about that. These brackets here at the end are actually optional because we do have the future value, and that's helping us. We are going to put that in. So we're going to press enter. And just like before on the other one, it came out negative. If we need it to be positive, we can put a negative here, or we can put the negative future value. Either way will make this a positive number. And those match, so that tells me and confirms that what I did worked well and I typed everything in correctly. So now over here, use this function to find the amount to deposit each month to earn. We did. So the amount is 203.81, rounding to the nearest cent. The next question says, how much total money would you have deposited if you made this monthly deposit? This monthly deposits, I think they have some wording wrong, for 3 years. So what we're going to do is take this monthly deposit, multiply it by how often we make it. So we're going to do equals to calculate, cell reference, and times this by, I'm going to make 12 payments every year for 3 years. Multiplying that all together tells me that I will deposit $7,337.20. So we're going to type that in here, $7,337.20. All right, and then I can come down here to the next one. Which saving option is the least expensive? So here I deposit $7,170.18. The payment option is $7,300. I could, if it asked me how much difference, I could subtract these here by cell referencing. It's not, it's just asking me which is the least expensive, which is our lump sum option. So the one-time deposit and just leave it is actually the least expensive. So the question is, which saving option would you choose? Type the option number into the box below. We could do the monthly deposit because it is rather difficult to come up with $7,000 all at once just for that one-time deposit. Or you can choose option 2, a one-time deposit because it is the least expensive option. Or the last one, monthly deposits, because it is the least expensive option. This is not true, so please don't pick option 3. So we could do 1 or 2, and I think just because it seems the most feasible will be, I'm going to do the monthly deposit one. And you could choose number 2 if you'd like. Either of those will be correct. Moving on to step number 5, identify which of the following reasons that could prompt a change in your decision about which plan to use to save money. So I'm looking at something that can prompt a change in my decision. So the first one, after 3 years. That wording right there tells me it's not going to change anything because after 3 years is after I've finished saving. So I don't even need to move on, but I could continue reading. After 3 years of saving money, you decide to give your money to charity. That still didn't change anything about my decision in which plan to use to save my money. So that one doesn't work because it's after the money's already been saved. The next one, the week before you plan to begin saving money, you lose your job. Oh, that would definitely affect the ability to put forth the $7,000 or the $203 every month. And so that one definitely affects which of these it could prompt a change in my decision. The next one, you inherit $7,000 a week the week before you planned to begin saving money. Again, if I all of a sudden had $7,000 that I could make a lump sum when I was planning on doing a payment formula, that would definitely change my plans. So that one could prompt a change. The next one, after saving money for a year, an outbreak of a very contagious 2-year plague hits your dream vacation site. So I know that this is a correct answer in the back or in here. I don't necessarily agree with it, but I will tell you that it is correct. It could prompt a change in your decision. So I guess that wording works. It could prompt a change in your decision about which plan to use. So yeah, it could prompt that. I have feelings on that one, but as your instructor, I will help you find the correct answer. The next one, after your dream vacation. So after you've gone on your vacation completely, you've saved up, you went on your vacation, this doesn't change anything, and I don't have to finish reading it. I can, but that doesn't change anything about my decision of which plan to save money. So that's not going to be something that will, because it's after the fact. You never want to leave home again. Nope, doesn't change anything. After your dream vacation. Again, I don't have to continue reading because that's after our 3-year period anyway of saving. So these are the 3 options, and I can go up here and press how did I do just to verify everything turned out right. Everything looks good. If you have any more questions, feel free to email me or rewind and watch this again. Good luck on your homework.